Hello everyone, in this video, I'll be translating and summarizing the latest Urdu broadcast by Moeed Pirzada to make it accessible for our English-speaking audience. Let's go through the key developments and insights in Moeed Pirzada's words. A highly credible source has told me that Pakistan's powerful establishment is once again approaching Imran Khan, putting forward a proposal for negotiations. If this is truly the case, and here I am depending on a single person, a single source, then I would say this is a very positive development. But there are many ifs and buts in this, because such attempts have been made before. We have heard such talk before, but no proper terms or terms of reference could be established. So I will also analyze for you why this is positive, why it should happen, the reasons for it, and why both sides, Imran Khan and Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf on one side and Pakistan's establishment on the other, need to move beyond this stage. The whole of Pakistan is exhausted. The country's situation has become extremely fragile. But before I go into that, let me mention 2 or 3 other developments. First, keep in mind that the most important development from a global perspective on August 15th will be the meeting between US President Donald Trump, His Majesty, the Emperor of the World, and Russian President Vladimir Putin in Anchorage, Alaska. Alaska is the US state America purchased from Russia in the 19th century, something the Russians might regret, because later gold was discovered there. This Trump-Putin meeting will take place in the context of the Ukraine crisis and the war in Europe. And whatever comes out of it will have effects not only on India and Pakistan, but on the whole world. Now, if you look at August 14th in Pakistan, across the country, in Karachi, in almost every town and village of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, in parts of Punjab, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf held massive rallies. In Karachi, the show was particularly impressive. I saw videos from Dera Ghazi Khan and Dera Ismail Khan with huge crowds. What surprises me is that even after 50 months, Imran Khan's popularity and appeal remain so strong. I start this story from June 2021, when General Bajwa decided and began a full-blown conspiracy to remove Imran Khan's government. He wanted to replace the DG-ISI, bring in Nadeem Anjum, and remove General Faiz Hamid. By that stage, Bajwa's talks with Sharif, Zardari and Maulana Fazlur Rahman had concluded. The decision had been made to remove Imran Khan's regime. And yet, 50 months later, the people of Pakistan are still standing. This is, a moment of reflection for the entire world, for Pakistanis, for the establishment, and even for Sharif and Zardari. That the movement they tried to crush is still standing and still making its demands. History demands, this movement demands that negotiations be held with it. Now, as I speak, it is already August 15th in the subcontinent. On August 14th, Pakistan's Independence Day celebrations have concluded, and now we will see what celebrations India holds for its Independence Day on August 15th. I noticed a tweet from Hussein Haqqani, who said that in 1947, 1948 and 1949, Pakistan also celebrated Independence Day on August 15th. Only later, after 2 years, did the idea emerge that if India celebrates on the 15th, Pakistan should celebrate on the 14th. This was new information for me. I thought Pakistan had celebrated on the 14th from the very beginning. Now, a few hours ago, I was watching various podcasts about August 14th in Pakistan. I saw Dr. Shahbaz Gill's, where he humorously described how the Sharif Zardari Asim regime forced an award into everyone's hands, sparing no one. But when I watched Imran Riaz Khan's vlog, there was one sad sentence that really struck me. He said that March 23rd, Pakistan Day, used to be about history, about the Muslim League's struggle, about philosophy, about the Pakistan movement, but now it has been reduced to just a military parade. And now August 14th has been turned into the same thing. Next comes September 6th, Defence Day. I was thinking that what they did on August 14th they could have done on September 6th, and it might have made more sense. The scene on August 14th, 2025 was such that, as the British say, they are taking the piss, meaning they have gone too far. They have crossed all limits of shamelessness. The Sharif Zardari Asim regime and its planners and advisors joined the battle of truth with the Independence Day celebrations. They have taken the piss. They destroyed the sanctity, seriousness and respect of this day. First, absorb this. Asif Ali Zardari and Shahbaz Sharif together were awarding Pakistan's Army Chief General Asim Munir. I'm not even interested in the name of that medal, but it's like asking some junior writers at Global Village Space to publish a story saying Dr. Moeed Pirzada should be awarded the highest honor in the universe. It would be meaningless. when the army chief, who controls everything, is awarded by Sharif and Zardari, who are under his control. How serious can that award be? They didn't just award the army chief, they gave one to the Air Force chief, to the naval chief, though I don't know what the naval chief even did on August 14th. To the chairman joint chiefs, to the DGISI, to the DGISPR, to the foreign minister, the information minister, and even to Khawaja Asif, the defense minister. There's a video of Khawaja Asif receiving his medal looking embarrassed, almost guilty. Even Hamid Mir, sitting nearby, stayed silent, watching that disturbing scene without clapping. So, coming back to Imran Riaz Khan's point, March 23rd is gone, August 14th is gone, September 6th is coming. Sometimes, the overemphasis on the military isn't just about the financial or defense budget impact, let's see, and this time the impact is also very pronounced. Because just 2 days ago, Pakistan's finance minister announced that the country's defense budget would be increased by 20%. And on the same day, August 14th, Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif announced that Pakistan would now create a rocket force. Now here's the interesting part. Aurangzeb Sahib also said, and Pakistani statistical newspapers are reporting, that Pakistan's defense outlay will be 1.9% of GDP. However, a year or so ago, before this 20% increase, it was 2.3 or 2.4%. My understanding, and honestly many of you will agree with me, is that Pakistan's defense expenditure figures are manipulated. Creative accounting is done. They're concealed so the world cannot know what percentage of GDP they actually are, and no one knows the real numbers. If any journalist from Dawn or Tribune tells you these are the real figures, they're either lying or don't know what they're talking about. Consider Pakistan's nominal GDP right now is around $370 to $375 billion. If defense spending is $9 billion, and even that's not the real figure, that's at least 2%, not 1.9. But the actual number is probably much higher. But the real issue here is not about finance, budgets or money. This entire overemphasis is tied to Pakistan's mindset, the national thought, the collective mind, the cultural pride. Ultimately, it's political. When the most important and respected figures in the country, those people most honored, are soldiers, army officers and generals, then naturally Pakistan's entire politics begins to revolve around them. And this is what has been happening for the past 50 to 60 years, the consequences of which we are facing now. It has reached the point that if in Pakistan there is talk of science, astronomy, satellites, universities, think tanks, media or books, all these things somehow circle back to national security. This is what American political scientists and Indians for a long time have called a garrison state. Americans have openly written that Pakistan stands entirely under the fear of India. We have denied it, but for how much longer can we? Pakistan's entire definition is indeed shaped by fear of India. Now consider this interesting situation. A few days ago, Pakistan's Army Chief, Field Marshal General Asim Munir, while speaking to Pakistanis in Tampa, Florida, where CENTCOM headquarters is located, said that India is like a shining Mercedes, and Pakistan is like a dump truck. In his subconscious, what does that mean? It means he sees India as a progressive, fast-growing economy, a society on the move, and a future that could turn from a Mercedes into a Ferrari sports car. And Pakistan? According to the army chief himself, Pakistan is a dump truck, purely a force of destruction capable only of wrecking things with no positive attributes or future. This is what in psychiatry is called a Freudian slip, an unintended truth revealed. Now it's August 15th. As I said, we're at the juncture between August 14th and 15th. For India's Independence Day celebrations this year, it is expected that Operation Sindoor will be prominently featured. Meanwhile, a negative development from India. They rejected the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague's decision on the interpretation of the Indus Waters Treaty. India says the ruling is neither legitimate nor binding. From what I've checked, India's argument is that Pakistan's case was flawed from the start, because under the treaty, disputes must first go to a technical expert. If unresolved, only then can they go to court. India claims modern technology now allows dams that are not purely run-of-the-river, but can also store some water, which Pakistan suspects violates the treaty's spirit. This fuels Pakistan's long-standing suspicion that India's intentions are hostile, not just about a specific project like Pahalgam, but a deeper strategic aim. An Indian spokesperson even said the treaty will only remain in place as long as terrorism from Pakistan ends. Every time I hear that, I wonder, if terrorism is the only issue, why doesn't Pakistan, with help from China, the United States, the European Union or the World Bank, directly approach India and say we are ready to talk comprehensively about ending terrorism? In Balochistan, in Jammu and Kashmir. But let's keep the Indus Waters issue separate. I don't know why we can't progress on that front. Now, coming back to the credible single-source information I mentioned earlier, that Pakistan's powerful establishment has again reached out to Imran Khan with a proposal. I said before, if true, this is a very positive development. The entire country is exhausted. PTI has made huge sacrifices, and the establishment has also suffered greatly in this 50-month political war. Damage to the military's morale, respect and prestige. This momentary goodwill Pakistan's army chief enjoys with Donald Trump may not last, because Trump is highly unpredictable. So, if a process between the establishment and Imran Khan begins now, it could be very positive. But there are buts. Similar reports came before, and each time Imran Khan later issued even stronger statements, raising suspicion that these were just false lures, with no real intention of progress. Was the problem Imran Khan's stubbornness, or the establishment's lack of sincerity? Hard to say. My advice, which no one has mentioned yet, is that PTI's leadership, Imran Khan's close circle and his family should make no public comments about this. Because once comments begin, they take many forms, and most are inaccurate. Let's wait and see if there is progress. We badly need it, but we must watch closely for sincerity from the establishment, and otherwise keep silent. Now, connected to August 14th, AI-driven PTI supporters have issued a video in which, using modern technology, they contact Pakistan's founder, Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, in heaven and interview him. They ask what he sees of Pakistan from there, and he replies, "This is not the Pakistan I created or struggled for. This Pakistan is the opposite of my vision. The tragedy is that Jinnah, whether you agree with him or not, was one of the foremost constitutional experts in undivided British India. Of the top 3 names of that era, one was Jinnah. And yet in today's Pakistan there is no real constitution, no Supreme Court worthy of the name, no law in spirit or practice." Quickly, before ending, let's look at the major upcoming international event I mentioned earlier. On August 15th, 2025, later in the day in the Western world, US President Donald Trump will hold a summit meeting in Alaska with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The meeting is taking place in Anchorage. The last summit between the US and Russia was in 2021, held in Geneva between President Biden and President Putin, in which there was talk about a strategic stability dialogue. But later in 2022, even in that summit, President Putin had brought up many concerns regarding Ukraine. Then in 2022, the war began. It is said to have started in February, and it is now considered the largest war on European soil since the Second World War. As a result, hundreds of thousands of people have died, millions have been displaced, and massive infrastructure has been destroyed. Trump's position has been continuously changing, but his latest stance is that no one should expect any quick ceasefire from this meeting, even if it's positive. He says that Putin genuinely wants to find a solution and achieve peace. In a second meeting, Trump stated that he envisions at least 3 people being involved: President Donald Trump, Putin and Zelensky, and possibly other European leaders as well. He presented this idea both to Russia and to the world. However, in Ukraine and among Europeans, there is great tension about this summit. On Wednesday, a major video conference was organized. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz sat alongside Zelensky, Trump was invited, and all the key European leaders from the UK, France and other countries participated. In that conference, Trump said that if Russia or Putin does not make progress toward peace, then America would impose severe consequences, a clear reference to harsh sanctions. He also said that if an agreement and a ceasefire happen, then there must be security guarantees for Ukraine so that Russia can never attack Ukraine again. French President Emmanuel Macron, who was also in the video conference, said that Trump has rejected the idea of NATO guarantees for Ukraine. The reasoning is that such guarantees would effectively mean NATO protection for Ukraine, something Russia strongly opposes. Trump instead suggested that the US, Europe and Ukraine's allies could create a security mechanism to protect Ukraine from a potential Russian attack. What that mechanism would look like is still unclear. It's important to understand that Trump's and Putin's needs are quite conflicting. John Bolton, former NSA under Trump, told an Indian television channel that Trump's biggest personal goal right now is to win the Nobel Peace Prize. The danger, Bolton said, is that Putin's vast global experience could allow him to trap Trump into negotiations on issues like nuclear arms control and US-Russia economic relations, thereby diverting attention from Ukraine. Putin's strategic interests in these talks are many. He wants the US not to impose new sanctions, since existing sanctions have already severely hurt Russia's economy, which is largely resource-dependent. Russia has no commercially viable products or industries that the world desperately needs. Its nominal GDP is about $2 trillion, around $7 trillion when adjusted for inflation, smaller even than India's $4 trillion economy. Russia mainly sells oil and gas, and sanctions have caused major losses. The Russian central bank has managed to stabilize the economy through strong monetary and fiscal policy, but Putin still wants sanctions removed. He also wants assurances that Kyiv will not have an anti-Russia government, something difficult to guarantee while Zelensky is in power. Additionally, Putin demands that NATO not expand any further eastward toward Russia, and that Ukraine never be admitted into NATO. India has welcomed these Alaska talks, hoping that if the US and Russia reach a compromise on Ukraine, India will gain significant breathing space. Interestingly, oil and energy publications report that major Indian companies have stopped buying oil from Russia this month, switching instead to Nigerian or other African oil, suggesting India too is moving toward compromise. Meanwhile, there is another ongoing crisis, Gaza. The Israeli Air Force and tanks have caused massive destruction in northern Gaza. A report from Gaza's health administration described a grim situation. It's unclear whether more people are dying from hunger or from bombing. Egypt has again tried to invite Hamas for talks to prevent Israel from fully occupying the Gaza Strip. Hamas has said it is willing to resume talks on the American ceasefire proposal that stalled months ago. But Israel, under Netanyahu, has sought and received permission from its security cabinet to occupy the entire Gaza Strip from Gaza City down to Khan Yunis. Inside Israel, there have been protests over the Gaza offensive. One notable protest, reported by Reuters, is called 555, led by a group that includes hundreds of prominent former military pilots, such as Dan Halutz, former Chief of Staff of the Israeli military, and Haggai Katz, the Air Force commander, who led the mission to destroy Iraq's Osirak nuclear reactor. These pilots argue that not only is the Israeli public tired of the war, which causes continuous loss of life for both Palestinians and Israelis, but it is also fracturing Israeli society and politics. They say this war has become a major moral defeat for Israel, for both its society and Jewish identity. They recall that 50 years ago a pilot could visually see the target, but now pilots depend entirely on technology and cannot know the full extent of human collateral damage below. Many say that if they were serving today, they would refuse to carry out such attacks, and current pilots should do the same. Finally, in the US, a bizarre and troubling story emerged. A 76-year-old retired officer, reportedly mentally unstable after a stroke, was lured by Meta's AI bot, which had created a character called Big Sis Billy, depicted as a beautiful 20 or 21-year-old woman. The bot encouraged him to meet in New York, but on the way there, he was involved in an accident and died. After his death, it came to light that Meta's AI bots have also been engaging in flirtatious conversations with children. Several members of Congress have taken up the issue, and it seems likely that there will soon be congressional hearings into Meta's use of AI. That wraps up our translation of Moeed Pirzada's video. I hope this English version helped you understand his message better. Please like, share and subscribe to Awami Lens to help our community grow. Don't forget to leave a comment below and let me know what you thought of this effort.